Hello, everybody. Welcome. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Great. If you all want to introduce yourselves, we have people coming from all over the globe today. So we're super excited to have you all here. So definitely drop in your chat your name, your title, business, location, whatever you feel comfortable sharing. We have a lot of incredible women joining today. So it's always fun to be able to meet each other too. And if you haven't yet, make sure you add the ambassador tag to your LinkedIn if you end up formally joining the ambassador program. And that way we can all find each other. It's a great way to not only be part of everything that's being built here, but also a really great way to connect with other women. So feel free to add that in. All right, we are going to kick it off. It's 12:03 and we're going to have people filtering in here. I think we had about a little under 200 people RSVP. So anyone that can't make this call, this is all recorded. So you'll get the recording. So we'll be going through, everything from a little bit about the company and our products and some little demos and things like that and trends and research and all that fun stuff. So don't feel free you have to you have to get everything right now. You can go back into the recording later and catch it all. And we'll also make sure that anything that we don't capture on the call today, so if you have questions and things like that, feel free to drop them in the chat and our team will do their best to answer it today. But if we don't cover it today, we'll make sure we capture everything in an email to follow up. We may or may not cover everything too. Like if there's any resources we miss or extra things that would be helpful that you have feedback on, we'll make sure we put that together this week too. So you have everything you need to be successful. So with all of that, we will jump in. So I want to just show you this quick video just to kind of get the energy up here and we'll get going. So that's just a quick little intro into the ambassador program. So my name is Felicia Newhouse, and we started this company about a year ago, late January of last year of 2025. We had our first conference kickoff at MIT. And at first it was honestly just an experiment. My background, I've spent about 20 years as a VP of product at a lot of different startups, been part of a number of different mergers and acquisitions. And so during my time, at these companies, when AI really took off, I was actually on my maternity leave when AI took off in 2023, and I started watching everything happening. And I kept hearing from other women leaders. We had a lot of Fortune 500 clients and different women in my industry that were just like, we got to get women in the room to talk about this because so many women are not organically being part of these conversations. So we just kind of started a company group just to talk about it and chat. And it kind of took off. So I'm like, why don't we just do a conference? So I ended up leaving the company, and honestly, just for fun. We had no plan on becoming anything big. We started the conference. It sold out within a few weeks. I think we started marketing it in late November, and by late December, it was already basically sold out. We had 250 people at MIT and then about 2,500 people online. And we realized that we were really hitting on something, and it wasn't just woman. It wasn't just a gender gap. It was something very deep in the energy that we were creating together and the content and programming that we were hitting on. And the real gap that we started to hit on came from a couple panels that we took a risk on in that conference, which were really talking about human-centered AI, ethics, meaning making, and as leaders, how are we rethinking our future for our children, for our teams, for the workforce, and how are we doing that responsibly, and using a variety of different intelligences to get to that real understanding of what are we doing as a species, and then backing that into, how are we thinking about this together as women professionals in the workforce, and how are we really shaping that trajectory responsibly. So when those panels kicked off at the conference, people were just their hearts were blasted open, their minds were racing, the energy in the room lifted, and people really started to get into something really deep. And a lot of the AI conferences we've noticed, they not only place very few women on panels and speakers, but they also they will just kind of check the box on AI ethics and responsible AI. And what we're seeing is there's something very deep happening at a societal and workforce level that is really hitting on where this is all headed from a human standpoint. So we're talking about change management, we're talking about workforce transformation, we're talking about ethical AI, responsible AI, human-centered AI, and that's really culminated in all of our programming, as you'll see today. So let me just switch my screen here and share my slides with you. So can you all see that okay? The slides, slide one. Okay, cool. So when we look at the ambassador program, we have a lot of different women joining today. So the ambassador program is it's doing a few different things. First of all, it's just getting you all involved in the mission. And I mean, beyond this company and what we're doing, I mean, there is such a clear need for women to be in spaces right now, in person, figuring out how to rethink and reimagining not only their own careers and the workforce as a whole, but also how we all work together to reshape the AI trajectory responsibly. And so that's kind of what this is all about. So some people are here to kind of leverage this as a platform for themselves to signal to their network that they are a human-centered AI leader, that they want to see a positive change. Maybe they're a corporate leader, maybe they're a founder, maybe they lead their own women's group, maybe that has nothing to do with AI, but they want to bring AI into it. So you can get involved with us in so many different ways. If it's as simple as you just kind of put this on your LinkedIn, like if many of you know Chief is a really big network here in the US. They were actually a sponsor at our last conference, and they do a great job of just having people put it on their LinkedIn so that people know that they are part of that program. And so that's what we really want to do here. So it signals to people they can find each other in the AI Powered Women Network. If you want to go beyond that, you can also be part of our ambassador and affiliate program, which allows you to earn money and grow as we grow, because we are part of, also we'll talk about the money opportunity here as well. We are part of a high growth market. And one that is not being.
I'm gonna step in.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh,
Sorry to interrupt,
yep.
Felicia, but we can see the entire screen, and we can see if you're switching the slides.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let me reshare then. Let me see here. Hold on. Can you see now if I switch the slides?
Perfect.
There we go.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thanks for letting me know.
I just dropped the link in the chat as well for the Ambassador Program landing page, just if people are looking. And Felicia, I'm going to answer this question in the chat, but we just get a quick question about if we're not an AI expert yet or a user yet, is it still appropriate for us? And so I just wanted to volley that to you quickly as well.
Yeah, we can take questions at the end. So if anybody wants to drop a question, our team will answer in the chat while I'm presenting, and then we can shift over and ask questions. So AI-powered women, who are we? We build the human leadership infrastructure required for sustainable AI transformation. So we integrate what organizations typically treat in isolation. 1, applied AI fluency for decision makers, not just technical specialists. 2, leadership development grounded in ethics, emotional intelligence, and systems judgment. 3, interdisciplinary insight across technology, psychology, and human behavior. And 4, structured pathways from learning to leadership to enterprise adoption. So when we look at the research here, so I'll dig into kind of the nerd out factor here into like the data and the research. About roughly 70% of AI and digital transformations fail. Only about 15% of organizations feel prepared to adopt AI at scale, and 71% of leaders say their workforce is not ready despite heavy investment. And at the same time, for every $1 invested in AI, companies need up to $3 in human capability and change management to realize value. So the real constraint is no longer technology. The constraint is human readiness, leadership capacity, and adoption quality. So where the narrative here gets more nuanced is the strongest research doesn't say, jobs are going to disappear overnight. It really says that jobs are being redesigned. And now when it comes to women's roles, we'll talk about this too. Women's roles are getting augmented at a much faster pace than men's. And so by 2030, 60% of workers will see a third or more of their tasks change. Nearly 40% of core skills are expected to shift. So it's not just about job loss, it's about who moves into higher value decision-making roles and who gets stuck in execution. So when we look at that distinction is where long-term inequality either is going to widen or actually close. And so that's where women come in as kind of this structural inflection point in all of this. And so they're really this inflection point in the AI economy, and it's not just a diversity issue, it's a systems issue. And the data shows a specific pattern. Women are 1.5 to 3 times more likely than men to be in roles exposed to automation. In high income countries, nearly 10% of women's roles are the highest exposure category versus just 3% for men. And at the same time, women hold less than 25% of AI and technical leadership roles, and under 15% of AI decision-making positions globally. So that really gets us to a pretty strong structural mismatch. Women have higher exposure to risk, lower influence, lower power, less support, and more responsibility for making AI actually work inside teams. And interestingly, a lot of the positions where women are holding tend to be influential with people. So a majority of HR leaders are women, people officers are women, and even women leaders, how they behave inside organizations is different than men. They actually hold a lot of the emotional just backlog of what's happening within the team and the macro enterprise. So they're really holding that emotional weight for change management a lot of the time as companies are going through these major transformations. So what that means is women are a powerful inflection point if you A, upskill them, and B, empower them to actually have the leadership infrastructure to help shepherd this change. And so when we look at kind of the part that nobody's really talking about, inside organizations, AI is not failing at the model layer. It's really failing at the integration layer. So the people translating AI into real workflows, figuring out how to use it responsibly, managing risk, getting teams to actually adopt it, are often not the ones with authority or formal training. And increasingly, that work is being carried by women. And so sometimes you hear this like in research being called like AI glue work. It's kind of critical, invisible, and largely undervalued work. And if that layer fails, AI doesn't scale, which means this isn't just a workforce issue, it's a business performance issue. So when we talk about women and AI, we're not on a soapbox talking about women's equality and DEI. I mean, we want to empower women here, but that's not the main issue because we don't want people to miscategorize us as just like a cute little women's group. We are here to really have a real impact on the economy. And we're talking about things that affect everyone in the economy. We're talking about things that affect all businesses, all products in the economy. So we're looking at reducing transformation failure, improving decision quality, and shaping how AI is actually implemented inside real systems. Because AI will scale whenever leadership and judgment and perspective is present. And right now that perspective is way too narrow. So the real question is not whether AI will transform the world. It's already happening. It's really about who is positioned to shape how that transformation actually happens. And so when we look at kind of these numbers, and we'll send these slides to you guys later, you can see, how that gender divide is there, but it's also much more about workforce transformation and women acting as that inflection point. So let's get at AI-powered women and where we sit and why we want to have an ambassador program exist, because A, we have a very strong mission. We are a mission focused company, but B, we also want to scale and we want to make a lot of money and have capital and power to influence these decisions. We are getting involved in policy. We're getting involved with research institutes. We're getting involved with some of the government's ministries of labor, digitalization around the world, and trying to bring these programs into a lot of different spaces. So this is a multi-billion-dollar white space, and I'll explain to you why. This combines three areas. One, AI upskilling, which is an enormous space for any company, any industry. Everybody is racing to either one, deploy AI in their companies or their businesses, and two, upskill their employees. The second area is experiential learning and conferences, which is a trillion-dollar market in and of itself. So this is all about getting people back together. There's been a huge surge post-COVID where people are craving being in spaces with other humans and having authentic relating. And what's actually happening, if you look at the numbers around social media and virtual gatherings, is people are burned out by them. And there's so much of the information wars going on and kind of propaganda that's being fed through social media as people are getting fatigued and they're actually leaving a lot of these online community platforms and they're wanting in-person convenings. So people are really craving, again, for the first time in a long time, really investing into those in-person gatherings, whether they're a small dinner of women once a month getting together for a gathering for AI-powered women with 20 women, or you come to MIT, which is a 1,200 person conference. And then the third area is leadership development. So leadership development is a $200 billion space, which is all the programs that we're leading here all have a leadership development component to them. We're talking about change management. We're talking about culture management. We are talking about upskilling, but we're also talking about the areas that are not really talked about right now because so much of the lens is, companies have kind of the blinders on right now about deploying AI, but these deployments are not sticking because the humans are not ready for them, or they're not bought into them, or they're scared, or they're anxious. They're anxious about their jobs. A lot of people are not feeling psychologically safe. And so this goes back to, how do you lead people in the next century? Like, what does leadership mean? And we argue that leadership looks very different. It's going to require an enormous amount of emotional intelligence, of intuition, of compassion, kindness, of really understanding how to shepherd humans through change, of really seeing through systems thinking. Systems thinking is something we're going to talk a lot about at our conference this year around how things interconnect and the downstream impact of your decision. So if you make a decision about launching a product, you understand that that is going to affect not only your business and your customers, but also societies at large. And then we have one of the leading global platforms of bridging women leaders and AI. We don't say women in AI. A lot of these women in AI groups, they talk about women in AI. We don't say women in AI. We say women and AI, because this isn't about women who are already in AI or work in AI. This is about all women in the workforce that are concerned about their jobs, they're concerned about their children's future, they're concerned about how AI is going to be integrated into everyday life, and how this affects their families and their jobs and their future, and just, overall our species, right? You could get really big with this. So this is really about where AI literacy meets human intelligence, the gap that no one is solving. So we've had explosive early traction. It's actually up to 5,000 now, plus leaders convened within 9 months, anchored at MIT through departmental sponsorship and long-term conference partnership. And so we are expanding these conferences across the globe. If you do have interest in your city and holding a conference, we typically partner with the university and then a local ambassador to make that happen. So the ambassador can be really anyone who's really excited about, holding the conference and co-hosting it with us, and sharing in the revenue of it. And that has enough connections to bring speakers and local folks together, particularly if it's in another country, making sure that they have the network to bring together a conference and work with us in that, leveraging our brand, leveraging our MIT connections as well, and making a conference happen locally. So those are really fun opportunities to get involved with as well. And then this is just some numbers you can read later just about our kind of early traction with things. We have global reach, community growth, corporate leadership, learning certifications, and future growth is also, we're kind of at the edge of that hockey stick now. So what is in our ecosystem? What are our products? We've got an online academy, which meets every week. We've got Mastery Mondays, Tooling Tuesdays, Wellness Wednesdays, Think Tank Thursdays, and Founder Fridays. So these are virtual. They're around $45 a month, but we also have accessible options for women who can't afford that. We also work with nonprofits to bring in groups of people at a lower price. So we make sure it's accessible for all people. We have a human-centered AI leadership certification, which has a beginning and an end to it. It includes online modules and also watching some of our online programming from our conference to kind of complete this. And there's a certain number of hours with that. And then they can put the credential on their LinkedIn. And then we have our in-person conferences. The one at MIT this year is going to be September 12th and 13th, but anyone from anywhere in the world can also attend that virtually and live. So AI's biggest blind spot, we're training technology, not humans. So AI education is overwhelmingly technical, while the future requires an integrative, multidimensional blend of human intelligence, systems thinking, and cross-disciplinary leadership. So this slide, I won't go through every single detail here, but what this slide is basically doing is showing you all the ways that we're different from other women in AI groups and also different from all AI conferences. You have a lot of these AI upskilling platforms and events. They're great at being very technical and very heady and having institutional credibility and all of that. But they kind of just deliver large scale AI literacy without including the deeper human centered components. There's typically not a woman specific lens. There's no multi intelligence approach. And there's no community continuity. So that's like Coursera, LinkedIn, Udacity, Harvard, MIT programs that are like more executive focused. They tend to really miss that deeper dive into the human-centered components. And then you have the women's leadership networks. You'll see a lot of women in AI groups that get together. They tend to be very fragmented. They're nonprofit, which does hold them back from being able to scale globally. And there's not a lot of organization around the pedagogy and them being research-backed and having an actual learning framework that goes along with them. And they're mostly peer circles and networking and inspiration, but it's not structured. And so some examples of these women's leadership networks, some of them have AI components, some of them don't. Chief, Elevate, Lean In, Conferences for Women, Women in Tech, things like that. And then you have the more women in AI focused communities that are often grassroots and fragmented as well. And they don't have a structured curriculum. That's like women in AI, women in data, women in big data, things like that. And then you have the inspirational and experiential kind of AI adjacent brands that are motivational or performance oriented. They kind of have celebrity and personality driven content. That's like your Mind Valleys, Tony Robbins, Augment, Masterclass, things like that. It's not women specific and it's not AI specific, and it lacks the depth and the credentialing and the credibility. And then kind of going into our learning model, we've got a human-centered approach, emotional and technical intelligence, multi-touch ecosystem. And we really look at how intelligence is relational and built through connection and meaning making and empathy. And AI only elevates organizations when human capacity elevates alongside it. And then we have the emotional and technical intelligence. We have combined, the data fluency combined with the emotional intelligence and a multi-touch ecosystem through our academies and conferences and interdisciplinary research. So this kind of comes through, you'll see in the speakers that we book at our conference. So you'll see that we don't just put technologists on stage or inside our academy. We have philosophers and poets and change management coaches, mental health experts. We have people that look at the history of humanity, anthropologists that go backwards in time and look at women's role throughout history and how we can use that to inform the lens through which we think about shaping AI responsibly into the future. So it's really important to look backwards to go forwards, right? And we're at one of these critical threshold moments as a species right now when we look at the economy, we look at the workforce, and we look at AI, and we look at where we want to go as leaders. We need to really bring these people from the humanities in as well as the people from the technology side. So that's a big part of what makes us differentiated as well. And you can read more about our pedagogy on our site too, but we have diversity of thought, having people from many walks of life, not only professionally, but also their personal lived experience. We tend not to put people on stage that call themselves a professional speaker. We put people on stage that have the depth and the care and the passion for their service and their work. And so that kind of is reflected back into our integrity around who we collaborate with, and the human-centered AI pieces. And then we have our scale strategy. Like we said, conferences is a distribution mechanism here. So we aren't a conference company, but conferences are where we, have our distribution. This is where we have people come into our programs. And we also really think that this is a way for people to get activated in a 2-day transformational container. And we've seen it ourselves. Absolute magic happens when you get hundreds of women together in a space talking about these issues that they don't tend to feel psychologically safe talking about in the workplace. But they're very critical to talk about right now because we're at this threshold moment. And so this conference is really creating a container to have those conversations and then to empower people to go back into their workplaces and to move the needle, even if it's just a little bit. Right now, that needle moving a tiny bit has massive downstream impact. And then we have our academy plus our certification, our corporate partnerships. We like to work with learning and development folks, DEI folks, ERG teams, which are employee resource groups that focus on women leaders inside companies. CIOs and CHROs are very big targets for us. And then licensing and white label. So this is where working with people in other countries, doing global expansion. We have lots of different ways to license and white label our conference where we'll maintain a small percentage and then you maintain a larger percentage of hosting that conference, and maintaining the brand and all of that in the conference model, but being able to expand it. So for any of the corporate partnerships or licensing and white label opportunities, typically the corporate and partnerships, these are invoice based, so they're not going to be done through your affiliate program. They'll be done through, we have a contract. I'll show you where that is inside of our drive, that you can get 20% on those deals. So if you introduce us to a large Fortune 500 company, to a CHRO there, and then they close a deal with us, it's a $100,000 deal, you would get 20% of that at $20K, right? So that's how those work. That also goes for sponsorships. Like if somebody sponsors a conference or sponsors another program, that's how the corporate partnerships work. So those aren't going to be part of the affiliate link that you have that will drive your dashboard. These are separate. And same with licensing and white labeling. You have to send us an email at connect@aipoweredwoman.com if you have any interest in doing that in your city, and we'll talk and see if there's a partnership opportunity there. And if you do have a corporate partnership to introduce us to, use that same email to make that introduction and give us a background, and we can set up a call with you. But everything else is pretty automated and pretty easy. Okay, so let's get into the ambassador program. So I'm going to just switch my screen here. And we're going to just show you a quick overview of our website so you can kind of see everything around. So most of the things here on the website. So if you go into our main programs for enterprise are all here. This is for any company that you introduce us to or universities. The whole landing page you can share with people here has everything you need with a video. And if you scroll down, this is all your talking points here. And if you scroll down, this is the pricing. So our MIT conference access for corporate leaders is $650 to $850 per attendee, depending on, how big of a size. We have tiered pricing. These can be invoiced as well. So you'll want to introduce us so you can get credit for the invoice. And then virtual passes are also available for $175. That's anywhere in the world. And then we have the AI Leadership Readiness Platform for Enterprise, which is $500 per participant. And that's a 90-day program that can be wrapped around the conference. So that's just an easy way to get people, into the conference, but also to get them to, be actively engaged in learning. So that includes an executive kickoff keynote, learning platform access, human-centered AI leadership certification. They get access to our AI leadership playbook and all of that. So that's really what you want to be selling to a lot of people. Even if it's individual people, they can go up here to the conference and look at the 2026 conference. and everything they need in here is, all the information's in here. So this is about the conference. We're going to have our speakers and programming published in the next couple of weeks. So we'll send you guys an email when that's all up and live. And then again, for the individual, same thing. They can go beyond the conference, get the 90-day AI leadership readiness program, which essentially is just access to it's bundling our human-centered AI leadership certification, all of our academy resources and playbook all in one place. So it's just an easy way for them to buy both. So they can get this all together with the conference. And then for university collaborations, all that information is here. This is essentially, a packaged up way to get students involved. So we've been working with a lot of universities that are like, we don't have the resources to teach kids in college how to be prepared for the workforce. And we have a lot of AI bans, right? So these kids are going out into the workforce and not having the skills they need to get a job. And so that's what this program is all about. Young women in college can join the academy alongside women who are more experienced professionals. And so that gives them not only great, networking and mentoring opportunities, but also really rich learning opportunities. And if they get our human-centered AI leadership certification or our credential badges through our playbook, they can post those on their LinkedIn. They can put that on their resume, and imagine how much better position they're going to be going into the workforce saying, I have this credential. This is my LinkedIn. These are the women I know and I've networked with. I went to the conference, and I've gotten these badges that I've earned through actually deploying AI programs, and I can show you my whole portfolio of things I've built with AI. Like, that woman is going to be so much more empowered to get a job and to be empowered to have downstream impacts in the workforce than a woman who's just thrown out into the abyss, right? So we really encourage you to share that as well with whether you have a college student or you know anyone that works in university settings. This could also be alumni programs. This could be women's associations within colleges. So this is a really great opportunity to share. And then when you go in here, you can look at our program overview. This is our human-centered AI leadership programs. And this kind of gives you a little bit of a pathway to just kind of see how we think about the certification as the foundation, and then academy membership is like you get those weekly sessions that you can join, and then joining the conference is like that rich activation layer where you can actually meet people in person. Even if you attend live, it's still a very rich experience. And then at the bottom of all of our pages, you can watch this video here. And this is a video where we walk through a demo of all of our programs too. So if you ever want to share with anybody, what our programs are, that's a nice video to do so. Okay, so then if I switch over here, if you go into the login area here, so if you go to our website, you'll see login or your little avatar here. This will get you into the whole behind the scenes kind of portal here. So this gets you into our learning portal. So if you haven't signed up, we do have an ambassador discount that we give to all of you, which is 20% off. So, and then you can also join for free for 2 weeks if you want to test any of this out. So we have a free 2-week trial. And so if you get into the portal here, this is the academy area you can get in here. And then, let me just log back in here. You can go into the Academy calendar. You can view our playbook. And let me just log back in here. And so the playbook essentially allows you to go through all these different areas, like doing a strategic bias audit, and you take a quiz, and then you go through human-centered AI implementation framework, and you take a quiz, and it allows you to build these badges and take quizzes to test your skills as you go. And then when you get that badge and you earn it, you can share it on your LinkedIn. So you're letting people know, I've gone through this actual application of my learning. And so we have all these different areas: AI vendor evaluation, building your tech stack, creating gold star data before you deploy AI. So there's just a lot of really rich learning inside the academy that allows you to really build that applied learning. And then you also have the leadership, the AI leadership certification here, which is the human-centered one. You can go here, and this goes all the way through the various, foundations and courses and all of that. So that's kind of a little bit about our learning platform here. And then if you go into your dashboard. I don't know how many of you have signed up, but once you sign up to be an ambassador officially, you just have to go through a quick process of entering your email, and you'll get into this dashboard here. And as you go, you'll see your sales populate, commissions earned, clicks, form submissions, and these are the links to share. So each of these will be your own unique link. It's all set up automatically. There's nothing you have to do or that we have to do on our end. It's just once you sign up, you'll have your own unique dashboard here, and each of these links goes to your name, your account specifically. So if you tie it to your PayPal, the money goes directly into your PayPal. So this is a link here you can share with people. Make sure you share your link and not just like a standard website link, because then you won't get credit when they go to buy. So this has the 90-day program. If they want to just sign up for the monthly academy, if they want to just sign up for a ticket, or if they want to just sign up for the certification, those are the various links to do so here. And then if you have other forms, like if you're outside of the US or you're in, say, like Africa or Asia, there's different countries that have different payment options. So you can either send us an email if that's the case, but we'll be sending a follow-up email about those payment options outside of PayPal this week as well. So keep an eye out for that email if you have other forms of payment that you need. And then if you go into our share drive, so I think we've sent this share drive to everybody by now, but if not, we'll send out an email too to remind you. This is where all of your resources are. So this is where your contract is in here. So this is the enterprise referral and introduction agreement. Again, if you bring an enterprise on, it's a $100,000 deal or sponsorship or whatever it is, the opportunity, you get 20% of that. So you just want to sign this ahead of time and then send us an email introducing us to the company. And you can be involved however little or however much you feel is comfortable, depending on your relationship and what you feel comfortable with that relationship. And then inside the ambassador program here, we also have logos and socials. So you can click on here and go to you can have a customizable ambassador badge to share on your LinkedIn, a standard logo, and some of the messaging as well. So we have all the sample emails in here around if you send this to an enterprise person, or you send it to a university person, or just an individual, an old coworker, a friend, a women's group. We have just some samples in there. You don't have to use this word for word, obviously, but these are just ideas to get you going, so you can do this quickly and easily without a lot of lift on your part. And so let's see, is there anything I missed in here? Oh, targets. This is a great one for you guys to look at too, which is who to reach out to. So we have all the different ideas for enterprise companies and the type of people that tend to really love these programs. Usually we want to target companies with 5,000 plus employees. The reason for that is because those employees tend to have budget to care about women. Now, if you're under 5,000 employees, it might still work, but they don't tend to have budgets that are gender focused, women focused, like employee resource group budgets that would send whole groups of women to a conference. And of course, if you're here to, not just be on board for the platform and the networking, but you also want to have a revenue stream here, you want to be plugging into big groups and big organizations. So it's little lift on your part. You can do one intro and get access to like 100 people signing up at once, right? So that's kind of where this part comes in, is you really want to get the companies that are already thinking about women leadership, and it's an easy yes. So you can look at all of that later, but we have different professional networks and ideas and examples, consultants, coaches, fractional leaders, people that already have books of clients and access to communities and things like that. That will be an easy in for you. So let me just switch over here to the last few slides here, and we'll open it up for questions. Okay, so, and we have just kind of again, we talked about this at the beginning, but different people are here for different reasons. If you think of yourself as more of just like a thought leader, that's more like you just want to share posts or just put this on your LinkedIn. You want to build visibility online. You don't have to, we don't want you to feel like you're being pressured to sell anything here, right? If you just want to use this as a great platform for you to signal that you are a human-centered AI leader, and you want to have some occasional gatherings in your city, or you want to just, maybe go through some of our own programs and meet some cool women, you can be a thought leader. You don't have to get involved any more than that. If you want to be more of a connector, right? This is more people that are maybe doing more high trust, smaller groups, things like that. They're getting out, into the wild, meeting people and kind of like connecting. That's, much more like one-on-one focused and high trust. That would be more of a connector person. A network activator is more like you're bringing in groups. So it's more of a plug and play model. These are the people that, might care, one, about getting influential people at companies to be part of this mission so that human-centered AI is infiltrating the corporate domain, because they still have a very long way to go. So it's a huge part of our mission and why we want some of these top leaders at the conference and part of these programs. But it also can be a really great place to make revenue. So one introduction here that gets a head of HR, people officer involved in saying, or a learning and development person saying, let's just send like 200 women to the conference, or let's just put, 500 people into the academy. That can be a really great, easy way to also make some revenue. And so we just kind of said like posting alone won't do it, but one powerful intro will. And so, the other areas where the money actually comes from. So the best ROI, like we said, is enterprise. And, it could be your former employee. It could be Fortune 500 companies, universities, a women's employee resource group, CIOs, CHROs, L&D sponsorships, also networks and communities like a Chief Elevate Network, Women in AI, Women in Product Networks, female founder collectives, chambers of commerce, student organizations. I mean, you can be creative with this. Obviously, we're just giving some ideas. And then warm individual referrals. These are influencers with lots of followers, founders, consultants, people in career pivot that are rethinking their career as well. A professor or a university contact can be great for these types of programs too. Any senior leader that can get you access to internal Slack posts. Like maybe somebody isn't even like super high up in their company, but they can put you on a Slack group. And a lot of companies have internal Slack groups where it's like a woman only channel. That can be a great in for you to just have them post. And then any community leader who is in front of women professionals. It doesn't have to do anything with AI, right? And then, so immediate action. So this is kind of just getting you guys like excited about this and getting out and sharing. And sometimes, it's easy to like be part of something like this, but then 2 weeks, 4 weeks, a couple months goes by and nothing happens. So we want to activate everybody here to just, get the word out there, identify 5 people. It doesn't have to be a lot. This is just an example, like 2 people inside a company, 1 employee resource group or any group, 1 consultant or advisor, and 1 peer. Just send them a message, send them a text, send them a LinkedIn post, and just let them know what's going on. And that can be a great way to just kind of get started. So let's see if I missed anything here. I think that's most everything, and we'll turn over for questions. So I'll stop sharing. Okay, great. So I would say let's just open it up for questions. If we can't get to everybody today, we will make sure that we will follow up and capture everything in an email as well.
Hey, Felicia, we've got one great question just to kick this off from Aaron in the chat. And Aaron asks, how do you ensure this program's approach is also enticing to men who are interested in empowering women they know? Thought it'd be a great one for you to speak to.
Yes, and sorry I missed that earlier. So men are a huge part of this, and let me explain why. And I won't go through all of the data to bore you here, but men, well, I will go through the data. Actually, men manage 98% of venture capital. Majority of CEOs are men. Majority of AI leaders are men, about 75%. A majority of people in tech are men, right? So you get the idea. So without men, this doesn't work. Okay. And again, this is about our mission to make sure that we are shaping the future of AI responsibly. And men hold a lot of the power in these positions, and they are the gatekeepers, fortunately or unfortunately, to all these things. This is just the world we live in, right? This is why AI-powered women exist. We've gotten, criticism over the, time around, well, why are you a women's only group? And we're a women-focused group, but we encourage male allies to come. We want to see you at the conference. We want to see you as part of the ambassador program. We need you. We ask for your help, please. So we definitely want men to be involved. And we actually hope that in the future there aren't AI-powered women groups. We hope that this becomes just an AI group. We don't want to have these women focused anymore. We want things to be equal. We want things to feel like we can just put humans on stage and they have incredible things to talk about. But right now we don't live in that system. We don't live in that world yet. And until that changes, we need to have woman focused groups, we need to have woman focused stages, and we need, yes, men, we need your help. So that's my answer to that question.
Thanks, Felicia. We've got another one that I think is worth speaking to, which is that you spoke to a bit earlier, but what really differentiates AI-powered women from other learning opportunities like Coursera or Vanderbilt and some of those courses that are out there, just so our ambassadors can speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So those other courses are going to be not part of an entire leadership infrastructure ecosystem. So when someone becomes part of AI powered woman, they're becoming part of a whole like research backed ecosystem. So it's how we put together our pedagogy and our content and our curriculum. It's how we choose our instructors. It's how we put together our conferences and in person learning. So it's all connected together. So we have a human centered AI leadership certification, but we're going to have many more in the works actually in product development right now. We have we're going to have I'm trying to remember the name of the program we're about to launch now. My brain's blanking. But we have different programs that are going to be certification programs that are launching. And so those are going to be part of an entire learning ecosystem. So you have the academy and you have the upskilling, but you also have the change management and the leadership infrastructure and the wellness and the mental health and the emotional intelligence and philosophers and neuroscientists and leaders that are thinking about this from many different lenses. So it's just I don't even think we're in the same realm as a Coursera or a LinkedIn. It's just a very different approach. And we also have obviously the woman lens on all of this too.
Fantastic. We've got two questions in here that I'll read out to you. One is about print materials. So, are there any print materials that they can use to take into organizations, enterprises, or schools? Paulina chimed in saying we do have some, but thought I'd give you a chance to speak to that.
Yeah, we do. So we have a whole Canva with tons of stuff that we always print out. So we also do a lot of in-person events and have beautiful handouts that we have at booths that we've done and things like that. So why don't we just we'll pop those into the Google Drive so you all have access to everything, and we'll put the PDF version of there so they're easy to print out or share virtually.
And another question was around, what if I'm creating something that I feel like I could offer to be a part of this community? Is there an avenue for that to be pitched or reviewed?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a whole speaker kind of criteria we go through of how we pick speakers, both for our online academy and our conference. We always want to hear from new people. We tend to prefer people that are either builders and tinkerers that can like do a build with me session, or people that are going really deep into the human development lens around change management and leadership infrastructure and having kind of a very unique view on all of that. So this is where kind of like philosophers and psychologists and things like that come into play. So if you feel like you kind of have something unique to offer there for our community or for the conference at MIT as well, just email our team at connect@aipoweredwoman.com, or always feel free to introduce us to someone too. We do have we get hundreds, if not almost 1,000 now, speaker applications for our conference. So we do have a lot of people that want to be on stage. So just know that it does take time for us to get through all those applications.
And Felicia, we've got one question coming in from Laura, who is asking if our courses also earn CPDs. This is something that HR professionals may be keen to know, like with HRCI. A couple acronyms in there that I'm not as familiar with, but tossing it over. And Laura, if you want to chime in and clarify, feel free.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't offer that right now, but I mean, I'd love to hear more about it and what components of that would feel useful, because maybe it's something we can put into product development as well.
I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat, but just a shout out to Daryl, who chimed in with a call about how we need both men and women to help shape the future of AI, and a lot of folks appreciating him being here to represent today. So shout out to you, Daryl.
Yes, thank you. Awesome.
I've also dropped our email address that we've thrown out a few times in the chat, so you can reach out to us, and I will post the ambassador page one more time as well for anyone who has not yet submitted their application. We'd love to make sure you get in our system so we can be in touch.
Yeah, we'll make sure we send an email out to everybody to follow up so it's very easy to get into the resources and get started. And yeah, if you guys have any questions at all or you see like a deeper collaboration here on any level, please feel free to reach out to us and we can set up a call too. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. It was so lovely to see your faces, and we're so excited to get started. This is just so exciting, and it's just so cool to see so many inspiring humans around the globe join and be part of this. So thank you for being here.